niching, however you say it, having a niche is super, super, super important. And you're here because you care about being a profitable coach, a monetized coach. And to be a monetized coach, it is so important for you to have a niche, especially at the beginning. It doesn't mean that you are going to be constrained. It doesn't mean that you are going to be limited, but it does mean at the beginning, especially if you are a coach that's just getting started, it means you're gonna know exactly where to work with whom on what, and they're going to be excited to pay you money, and it'll be a clear path to do so. If you want to learn more, go ahead and keep on watching. Hello everyone, Luz Gonzalez here. I am really excited to be here. Today we're going to be talking about niching and why having a niche really matters for you as a coach. So maybe you have experienced the overwhelm of not knowing who to serve. You think and you have this feeling of, but you don't get it. I can work with everybody. I can serve whoever has this problem. Suppose you're a relationship coach and you're like, I don't know, like men, women, whoever has this relationship problem or they want to improve their relationships, I can help them. Yes, you can. And I remember starting as a beginner coach and saying that to my business coach. Hopefully you guys have a business coach. If you don't, you can definitely call us up. But I remember when I was first starting telling my business coach, but you don't get it. I can help everybody. I'm motivational, and my strategies and my skill sets and the work that I have really is applicable to so many people. And even as we got more and more focused with what we did, it doesn't mean that as of now, we can't just help, a wider group of people. But the reason, again, that you're here is to be monetized, to be the monetized coach, not to be the broke and busy coach, right? We've seen a lot of that, and maybe you've been there. But to be the monetized coach, to be the monetized coach, it is so important. So back to my story. I told my coach, I was like, oh, but I can help everybody. And what happened was it was really hard to sell to strangers on the internet. A lot of coaching relationships begin on the internet. We can talk exactly where do you find your clients, how do you talk to them, all those things. But a lot of it can happen online, offline, but the gist is the same. You want it to be super, super simple for someone to go, who, me, like you help me. I can clearly identify as the sort of person who needs your help. Like, this is so fantastic. Yes, I want to work with you, right? Whereas what I was doing at the beginning was I can help everybody. And what ends up happening is you end up micro-niching. So you actually niche yourself, and you niche yourself to only the people that are not confused by your message, your friends and family, and people that for whatever reason it's just going to be so much work for you to bridge that gap of trust that is there. And so, given those obstacles that not having a niche bring up, especially as a beginner coach, that's just really not something that you want to bring into your life and make, building a business even harder. Building a business as a coach takes work. There's a lot of moving pieces. So talking about moving pieces, there are 7 steps to profitability. There's another video that we did which said, help, I'm a new coach, don't know exactly how to bring on clients. In that video, I walk you through the 7 steps to profitability as a coach, and I really encourage you to go watch it. But what I'm going to do is very quickly, I'm going to speak to the 7, just in passing, and we're going to focus on step number 2. Okay. So step number 1 is the step where you really are focused on having alignment with this career, right? Coaching is a career. And you want to make sure that this is something that's going to be sustainable. Something that you can do for the next 3 to 10 plus years of your life. And it's not something that you're going to wake up in 3, 5 years, 10 years and be like, oh, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, I settled in these ways and I really don't love what I'm doing, and you're sort of stuck in this place. We don't want that for you. So that's number one. Step number two is defining your niche, defining your problem that you're solving for a group of people, seeing where they hang out. So, defining where the congregations happen, and making sure that you're actually going to be profitable. Do you guys see how this actually happens before anything else, before you're building anything? You define profitability at the very beginning of your business as a coach. Then step number three is a super, super, super important step. In step number three, you are building offers, you are packaging, you are pricing, you're learning the science of pricing, you are knowing how to position yourself. So whenever you tell someone, hey, this is what I can help you with, and when we work with you, when we work with our clients, our bar minimum is we don't believe that coaches, new coaches, old coach, whatever, wherever your coaching career you are, especially at the beginning, we don't believe you should be wasting your time selling anything under $1,000. That is an entire video all on its own, but what I will say is all of the clients that we work with, and we support coaches, right? All the clients we work with, their bare minimum is going to be a $1,000 package program that they're putting together, a coaching program, and the average that we want for them is about $2,500 to $5,000, and learning exactly how to do that. And so at step number three, you are putting together your program, your coaching program. You're just a coaching program away from being a six-figure coach, from making an impact, from really having that freedom that you desire. So that's step three. Then step four, where a lot of people go wrong, is going to be branding and marketing. This is mastering client attraction. And client attraction is going to be made so much easier if you're speaking to the right clients and if you have some really solid offers that you can feel really good about. Then step four, which is how do you brand yourself? How do you present yourself? Where do you need to be online? How do you talk to people? What do you say? All those things, your colors, your fonts, all of that happens in step number four. And you shouldn't be doing anything in step number four until you have really mastered 2 and 3. And then we get to step number 5, which is going to be sales, really mastering your sales systems, your scripts. How do you have conversations? How do you have discovery calls? The call before the discovery call, all of those pieces are in step 5. Then we go into 6 and 7, which I'm really not going to focus on because that's when you start getting into growing your team and ads and funnels and all that complicated stuff, email sequences, which most of you are just not there yet. How do you know that you're there? Well, you're making over $10,000 consistently, organically. So organically, you know where to find your clients, how to talk to them, how to have sales conversations that are converting at a really high rate, and people are saying yes to you to the point where you're bringing in 10K plus. Once you get there, then you start focusing on 6 and 7. Okay, so let's bring it back, right? Let's go back to step number 2, because today we're talking about niching, and niching falls squarely in step number 2. Before we dive into step number 2, I'm going to dive in a little bit into step 1. Step 1 is the alignment, right? Because you guys are going to be thinking, well, what exactly, I know I want to be coach, but I don't know exactly what I'm going to be coaching people on, or what is that going to look like? You figure that out through step number 1. Step number 1, I want you guys to write this down. ELMIS. Okay, it's like Elvis, but with an M. So ELMIS. ELMIS. The ELMIS framework. ELMIS is going to help you know the sort of coaching that you're going to be doing that's going to feel really good for you for the next 3 to 10 plus years of your life. So E stands for, and E is super important here. E stands for your experience, your expertise, your knowledge. What is it that you're bringing already to the table? So if you are a newer coach, maybe you're a newer coach, but you've been in your space for like 30 plus years, right? You know your industry, maybe you've been in corporate, or whatever it is that you've been doing, you know your stuff. So what is the stuff you know? Maybe you have been, doing some branding for years and years and years, and maybe it wasn't like your official work, but you can still look back and you have over 10 years of, practice doing this thing. Do you have 3 years, 5 years, 7? So what is the stuff that you're really good at? We have some exercises within our programs that we actually guide you through, giving yourself a score so you can figure this out, sort of like a mathematical equation. But for now, just think, what am I an expert in? And this is both what you know that you're an expert in and what people tell you you're an expert in. Then we move on to L. So L stands for your lifestyle. What is the sort of lifestyle that would set your soul on fire? You'd be so excited to live this sort of lifestyle. Then we move to M, money. How much money is required on a yearly basis to live that lifestyle? Because, right, you don't build a life around your business, and so many people do this. You build a business around your life, which is why we start with LMIS and why we start with step number 1. So how much money does your ideal life take? We need to know the number. Then we move to I. I stands for impact. What does impact mean to you? Does impact mean without impact, we're gonna feel deflated and like we're just running through the motions and there's no meaning in your life. And so you wanna make sure that you have that passion. You're like, I'm doing something that matters, that's changing the world. And so that is going to be in the impact piece. So for impact, do you just want to change the lives of your one-on-one people that you support? Do you want to change the lives of, a million people? Because those are very different structures that we're talking about, right? Maybe your energy is strained when you're on stage or when you're doing one-on-ones, but you love being behind a camera. All of this stuff matters, and we need to know these things about you before we start building your business. Okay, finally, S, your strengths. What are your natural strengths? What are you good at? What have people told you you're just really good at? Have you taken a strengths finder exam or the test online? Have you taken, Myers-Briggs? Have you taken any sort of professional personality test that let you know what your strengths are? And what do you know your strengths are? And what do people tell you your strengths are? So you're gonna use that as fuel, as information for the place that you're going to have inside of the coaching industry. Because as a coach, you can basically take any problem and you can guide people through a trajectory of transformation, which is what a coach does. All right, so we're done with 1. Let's go over to 2. 2, we're going to be looking at some structures. We're really big on frameworks here at Industry Authority. And if you guys want to learn more about us, just go to highticketclientonline.com. And so frameworks, we explain things through the 7 steps. Within the 7 steps, there are frameworks. We have an incredible quiz. If you guys want to know where in the 7 steps you are, you should just look at the quiz. It's probably going to be, somewhere in the comments below, or you'll have access to it somewhere. Or if you have access to this video somewhere on social media, you can just type quiz and we'll send you that link. Okay, so step number 2, there is a primary framework inside of step number 2. We talked about LMIS in step number 1. Step number 2, we're going to be looking at a framework called USGA. Yes, we made all these up. These are part of the High Ticket Client Online repertoire of tools that we use to train our coaches. We have worked with hundreds and hundreds of coaches. You guys should join our Facebook group. We have an incredible Facebook group. And we have specialized on working with coaches to help you master the art and the science of the 10K month and becoming a 6-figure coach. So within step number 2, again, one of the frameworks is going to be USGA. And you guys want to write this down. So U stands for urgency. S stands for specificness. G is a longer one. G stands for identifiable group. We're not done yet. An identifiable group online that congregates in the tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands that you can find and engage with, okay? So that's gonna be G, the 3rd one. Then, so USGA, then now we are at A, so ability, and W, willingness. USGA, urgency, specificness, group, ability, and willingness. This really is the gist of how we make sure that we have a profitable niche. So you've probably heard, there are 4 major markets. There are 4 major markets that probably all of your coaching is going to fall into. It can fall into the space of, health. It can fall into the space of relationships. It can fall into the space of money, or it can fall into the space of beauty, entertainment, etc. So you want to see, based on your LMIS, where do you land? Where are you excited to, to serve people? And then that brings us to the next question. Who are you excited to serve? So many coaches get this wrong. And what ends up happening is we hear the horror stories of people who become our clients, but before they became our clients and started making money, they were in other programs and they were just doing busy work. They were creating programs, they were creating podcasts, they were doing all the work and still having no clients. And that was because the USCA wasn't there and their focus wasn't there, and they started not with the who, but with the what. And so they fell in love with, I'm going to create a course. I am going to create a program. I am going to create this thing. And they started creating the thing, and they created this course, they created this mastermind, they created this thing before validating that anyone would be willing to pay for that thing. That's the wrong order of operations. We don't start, I want you guys to write this down. We don't start with the what. This is the thing, your product. We don't start with your product, your service, the thing that you're bringing into the market. We start with the who, okay? The who, that is going to be how you make sure that you're profitable. You want to find a who that gathers on the internet in the tens of thousands or the hundreds of thousands that has an USCA problem. So it has an urgent, specific problem, and they have the ability and the willingness to pay for these products and services. That you need to make sure is a priority. So start with who, not what. Who are you excited to serve? Who do you think would, if I were to serve these people for the next 3 to 10 plus years of my life, I would be thrilled. For us, it's coaches. Coaches are making the world a better place. We love coaches. Every single one of our clients is going out there and making a difference. We have divorce coaches, yoga coaches, we have Facebook ads coaches, we have doulas, we have parenting coaches, we have coaches of every flavor, and every single one of them have something in common. They're making the world a better place. They're making a difference. They're walking their clients through a trajectory of transformation. So again, we start with the who, not with the what. That right there on its own will change potentially your paradigm to make sure that you're starting with the things that should be first and not falling in love with a product that we haven't even validated is profitable. Okay, so we talked about USCA, right? And we talked about really starting with the who. Now I want you guys to, I think that's basically, that's going to be the gist of what I want you guys to be thinking about. So you're going to be thinking about USCA. We started with Elmis, you're going to have USCA, and then you started with the who, not with the what. Now, when you think of okay, but the who, what do I do now that I have a who? There's potentially multiple who's. And I understand it sounds a little sounds funny, who. Okay, so you want to write down, this is gonna be an exercise for you guys. I want you guys to write down all of the potential groups of people that you would be super excited to serve. This goes back to your Elmis that you wrote about, okay? So all the people that you would be super excited to serve, you are going to write down the big groups. So it could be, women, so say for one of our clients, it's divorced women undergoing a divorce. And then she made it more specific. It wasn't just women undergoing divorce, but women undergoing divorce who didn't want to be bitter and be stuck in the past, but really wanted to look forward and wanted to feel powerful in their future and their healing and be in a place of positivity, right? Through this really hard process. So I want you guys to think of who are your who's? Another client that I can think of that has, been working on the niching, with her, she was thinking of okay, I have studied music for over 30 years. I can teach people how to compete, how to sing, but I also really love working with women on them owning their power, right? And so these are potentially pretty different. There could be potentially a way that you could bring in some aspects of one into the other. So the exercise for her, and it's gonna be the same exercise for you guys, is go ahead and write down those groups, and then you're gonna write down all of their problems, okay? What problems do they have? So they have, okay, so let's say the women who are not, haven't stepped into their own power and own their power. They have potentially issues with self-confidence. They have issues with boundaries, saying no, making enough space and time for self-care in their schedule, right? You want to write down all of the problems they have. And then you want to write down the super urgent ones, because you don't want your coaching to be a multivitamin. You want your coaching business to be a painkiller. So we need to identify what are all the like actually urgent specific pain points that these different groups of people. So suppose it's women, and she would write down all the problems, and then she's gonna circle all the ones that are urgent. And then she could do, so women, she really likes working with women. So female performers, and she would write down all of their problems, and then she would circle all the ones that are urgent. Then you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna highlight all the ones that are profitable. So someone right now would probably pay good money to be like, I need someone to fix this problem. So again, not a vitamin, but a painkiller. And then with a different color, I want you guys to put a little square around the ones that light you up and that you are able to deliver on, right? So, okay, so they have issues with self-confidence. Is that something that you can speak on and you can guide them through a trajectory of transformation? And if so, then it's highlighted with all the things, and that is the start of your coaching program. That's gonna be a different video for a different time, but that is how you find your niche. That is how you start defining what your first program is going to be, and how you make sure that your niche is profitable from day one of your business. So let me know, what were your top takeaways? What did you learn from this video, from this lesson? Write down in the comments, what was your biggest takeaway, learning, like, oh my God, that was so good. And if you guys want to learn more, we do a very quick 10-minute, 15-minute audit of your business. I talked about the 7 steps. Knowing where in the 7 steps you are, if you want to find out, not only can you take the quiz, which we have this incredible quiz that you guys should totally take, we also have a super quick call when we're going to jump on the phone with you and we're going to figure out the number one thing that's holding you back from being profitable. It could be your niche or lack thereof. It could be your offers. It could be your branding. It could be your marketing. It could be your sales. It could be your lack of automation. It could be a bunch of things. But we will identify them in about 10 to 15 minutes. We're that good. And so if you're interested, just you can reach out to us directly. You can go to highticketclientonline.com/contact, or you can look somewhere. There will be a link for you to sign up for the audit. That's a profitability audit. And we have a Facebook group. There will be a link for that. We have a podcast, this YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe if you want more content. To make sure that you are mastering the art and the science of becoming a 6-figure coach, that you're mastering the art and science of 10K months, then you want to make sure that you subscribe and tell all of your coaching friends about this, and have an amazing day. Until next time, guys.